continuing once again with talking to people. Intro to Azure Part 30. Starting off with a quest this time, with a suspicious guy in Armorica village. I want to check upstairs first, see if there's anything interesting. Derek hardly ever comes home these days. I hope he hasn't gotten himself mixed up in any dangerous business. Presumably that's the name of the son, but... yeah, there's a lot of this. I don't remember this pink cloth being everywhere. It might just be that I didn't pay attention. And it's Harold. Just what does my fool of a son think he's doing? It's concerning, yes. I believe there's a possibility he's been... Hello, Chief Tolta. You called for the special support section? Oh, and Mr. Hayworth is here, too. There you all are. I've been waiting. I take it you've seen the request. Thank you for coming. Sure thing. Why are you here, though, Mr. Hayworth? As it so happens, he has a stake in this particular problem as well. After talking things over, Chief Tolta and I decided it would be prudent for us to consult with the SSS. Considering the circumstances, we thought the situation called for a professional investigation. If that's the case, this must be a serious issue. I recall the description mentioning that this had to do with your son, correct? Yes, it's a very complicated matter. I can brief you on all the details, if you're ready to accept the request. Is now a good time? We're ready to help. We're here to help, Chief Tolta. Tell us everything we need to know. Thank you, SSS. I'm in your debt once again. As for what's going on, my son, Derek, has been acting strangely recently. I get the sense he has some kind of sinister plan in the works. Sinister? Is it really that bad? Well, I don't know the details yet. As a matter of fact, I don't know what's going through that boy's head at all. You see, not long ago, Derek told Harold that Armorica would no longer be doing business with him. That's not really his position. Really? Why would he do that? Haven't you always been on excellent terms with the village, Mr. Hayworth? Yes. I've done my best to be kind to the people here ever since we started doing business. I came to see Chief Tolta today because I was afraid there had been some kind of misunderstanding. And let me guess, the chief here was just as out of the loop as you were. Am I right? Yes, you are. We never intended to wrong Mr. Hayworth like this. Losing a customer in him would have been a grave loss for our village. I'm sure my son is fully aware of that as well. This certainly is strange. What reason could Derek have to go over your head and make a decision like that so rashly? It doesn't really seem like... it's not really going over his head, it's just lying. Because, like, going over his head implies he's actually in a position where going over his head does anything. But what Derek did was lie that the chief and the rest of the village's opinion was that Mr. Hayworth should be gone. That's exactly what Hayworth and I have been discussing. In doing so, a certain questionable individual came to mind. Derek has been meeting with a foreigner from out of state recently. A foreigner? We don't have very many details on him for the moment. All we know is that he and Derek have been talking behind closed doors. Nothing says suspicious quite like a secret meeting. Quite right. As such, my request to you is to investigate this foreigner for us. I kinda hope it's someone we've met before. Like, it's gonna be someone from Liberal or something. If he truly is plotting some sort of nefarious scheme, we need to put a stop to it at once. I apologize if this comes off as rude, but is something like this truly worth submitting a support request for? I mean, I would say so, personally, but... Surely the logical approach would be to simply speak with your son yourself. I mean, but... It's very easy for him to lie. If it makes sense to have someone look into it. Don't think that's our call, Teotot. Yeah, like, if they feel more comfortable with this... I'm embarrassed to say so. The young lady is correct. Derek and I have been at odds on how best to run the village for a long time. I've tried to confront him about this, but I could never get an answer out of him. As his father, it pains me to admit that. No wonder you decided to consult with us. That about brings us up to speed. We'll begin investigating immediately. I was thinking we could start by interviewing each of the villagers. Feel free to do so. Incidentally, Derek and Elkin are delivering produce to the city right now. You may be better off speaking with them last. Thank you for looking into this, SSS. I hope you can get to the bottom of things. We'll do everything we can, Mr. Hayworth. I think it'd be more interesting if it's sort of minor. Like, I don't want it to be just a case of, oh, like, I want the stranger to not be bad. I want Derek to just be stupid. Like, Derek being stupid would be much more interesting than there being a sinister plot. Excuse me, I have a few questions for you. Oh, him? Well, if I had to describe the man, I might say considerate. Considerate? Can you elaborate? Once, he was passing by the children as they were playing, and they accidentally got his clothes dirty. Rather than raise a fuss, he paid it no mind. In fact, he even gave them some candy. I didn't mention whether to thank, compliment. I didn't decide. Wouldn't it be I couldn't decide whether to thank, compliment, or apologize to him? He had me speechless. Because, like, I didn't is much more of a actionable thing, whereas couldn't was unable to. Didn't sort of suggest they chose not to, sort of. He had me speechless. Interesting. Well, thanks for your time. Like, I hope it's that Derek is too aggressive in trying to replace Hayworth, but the new foreigner guy is like totally fine with Hayworth getting his own, cut. There's enough to go around between both of them is what the foreigner believes, and then he's just a good guy. But Derek thinks, no, Mr. Hayworth needs to be done away with because progress. But also the mayor is a little bit too averse to progress, so he thought he has to be aggressive and t. I'm pretty sure each of these ones is... Anything that doesn't have a cutscene is probably a repetition, is my assumption. Excuse me, I have a few questions for you. Ask the foreigner about the foreigner. Oh, the man who's been staying here on and off? Well, he's pleasant enough to be around. Very polite at that, though there is the kid that's terrified of him. Polite, huh? I see. And would you happen to know this man's name? Let me think. I believe it was Minith. I don't think there was a character named Minith in the sky. Or at least, that's what he wrote on the guest registry. Minith. At least we have a name to work with now. Is there anything else you can tell us about this individual? Well, he wasn't too chatty, so there's not much to tell. He did call Derek up to his room a couple of times to talk about something or another. That's pretty much all I know. Sounds like the secret meetings Chief Tolta's been worrying over. Yeah, not the most game-changing information, but it's something. Thank you for your help. Not a problem, I'm happy to be of service. But if you really want to thank me, why don't you order some food while you're here? Yeah, I'm basically assuming anything that doesn't trigger a cutscene of someone I already talked to, because I'm pretty sure I already talked to everybody. I wanted to check these rooms in case there was like some hidden element that's like, oh, interact with this, and there's like something they left behind. It's so weird that they had a dream of working in a hotel as a maid. It's just odd to me. Like, everyone has their own dreams, but like, why not like wanting to be a maid at the Liburlian castle? Like, it's a way better dream. Excuse me, I have a few questions for you. Oh, him. He's got a keen eye, I can tell you that much. What do you mean by that? Well, the man's become infatuated with our honey. It would be so funny if he was actually like a bee in disguise. He was raving about it being a surefire hit and that he could sell across the entire continent. Sell across the entire continent? What is he, a trader or something? I've never heard him outright say it, but that seems likely. With discerning taste like that, I'm sure he's already made a name for himself. I'd be thrilled if my grandson were to follow his example. Is that so? Well, now we know the dude is some kind of merchant. That's good information to have. Thank you for your help. Not a problem. Feel free to talk to me again anytime. I guarantee this is nothing... Yeah. Nope, there it is. Okay. We have more info to go off of, now that we've spoken to the villagers. This man is named Mineth, or he claims to be Mineth, and he's believed to be a foreign merchant. He's supposedly a kind man as well. The type that's courteous, patient, and caring with children, except for the child that we talked to that said he has dark eyes. On the other hand, we don't know why he's here in the first place, and that's suspicious in and of itself. You make a good point. Yes, we never did learn of a motive in any of those conversations. The biggest thing that stands out is him talking with the village chief's son in secret. That doesn't pass the smell test. It's generally called a sniff test, I thought, but... I'm inclined to agree. It's incongruent with everything else we heard. I say we should follow up on that. Wait, look over by the entrance. New truck. That's Elkin, the one who went with Derek into the city. Is the logic here that the foreigner sold them a truck so they can deliver their stuff more easily and they won't have to rely on Mr. Hayworth? Is that the plan? That's Elkin, the one who went with Derek into the city. He must have just gotten back. Let's go speak with him. Because that seems like what it could be. They got them to buy a nice truck. Excuse me, Elkin, right? We've got a couple of things we'd like to ask you. Oh, yeah? What can I do for you? Let me guess. You came to ask about my shiny new Orbital truck here. Did you take out a huge loan on it? No. Sorry to disappoint. Aw, really? But it's the Vern Company's latest model. Mineth gave it to me for real cheap. Okay, he's just bribing people. Hold on a moment. By Mineth, you mean the foreigner who's been visiting the village recently, correct? Just how cheap are we talking here? Get this. It's gonna be like 28% loan. I got it for the low price of just 50,000 Mira. Only 50,000 Mira? What I wouldn't give to be that lucky just one. Does the goddess have it in for me or something? Easy, Noel. I can see you turning as green as your hat. Sorry, force of habit. Moving past Noel's mechanophilia, the average market value of a new truck should be nearly 500,000 Mira, which makes the amount you paid exorbitantly low. That would be a 90% discount. It sounds more like charity than a bargain. Did he give it to him with... No? Well, he said the price cut was so we could make our work easier without breaking our budget. He and Derek have been working out some sort of plan. I guess it's coming along. That Mineth, I tell you, my hat's off to him. He's not suspicious. Like, Elkin should really be suspicious of that. Plan? Shoot, Derek said I'm not supposed to talk about it. Pretend you didn't hear that. Anyway, this Mineth guy is the real deal. So you say... Wait a minute. Did you come back alone, Elkin? Chief Tolta said you and Derek went to the city together to deliver produce. We did, but Derek told me he'd catch a bus back to the village later. He said he had some business to take care of at the hotel in the entertainment district. Another meeting with Minith, I'm guessing. Vroom vroom. Hey Lloyd, this could be our chance. This should really be in parentheses, implying whispering. They shouldn't be saying it at full volume. To speak with them face to face? Probably, yeah. We should head over and check things out. Thank you for speaking with us, Elkin. This was very helpful. No problem. Not that I get what you're after, but hey, good luck all the same. So I'm done in Armorica, right? Yeah. So I'm done in Armorica. Next time I'm gonna have to visit Tangram. I have to visit the boathouse probably, but that's... No, there's a quest fight near the boathouse, so I'll leave that. I don't think I can travel to Michelin in any way. So then it's that, St. Ursula, and then I'm done with the side exploration. After I finish this quest, of course. So I'm going to the hotel in the entertainment district. It's the same model as Elkin, I think, right here. I probably just go break. Oh, it's probably the locked door. Because this door was locked when I tried it earlier. Alright, meet up again tomorrow then. Good talking to you as always. Huh? Wait, aren't you? Pardon us. You're Derek from Armorica Village, correct? That's me. There's something I can help you with? I probably should have opened this with this, but we're with the Crossbow Police Special Support Section. We have a few questions we'd like to ask. That's so. Let me guess. My father sent you here, didn't you, he? So he even called the police, huh? Ah, that's rich. He had his reasons. I already know his game. He's snooping around trying to find out what I'm up to. I mean, you lied to the one of the primary, wholesalers of goods from Armorica. It's reasonable that he's suspicious of you. Well, I have nothing to hide. Ask me anything you want. Not the reaction I was expecting. I'll get straight to the point then. We were told that you've been meeting in secret with a man named Minith recently. Would you mind explaining why? Whatever. It's not as though my father can do anything about it. Minith has been helping me out with a little project of sorts. It's all part of my plan to revolutionize the village. We know this is what he's obsessed with already. I wish the characters paid attention to everything that's always said. We know he's obsessed with revolutionizing the village already, so don't be shocked. Revolutionizing the village? Why would you keep something so important from your father? Because he doesn't agree. We already know this. You don't need to ask these questions. Well-intentioned or not, doesn't it concern him just as much as it does you? I've tried talking to my father about this kind of thing more times than I can count. All he ever has to say is that I've lost sight of our ideals and that making drastic changes won't solve anything, which is probably kind of true. But if things continue the way they are, a rural village like ours has no future. I don't think that's actually true. Real, meaningful reform is the only way for us to keep Armorica alive. Because yeah, that's patently false. The number of sort of novelty adjacent rural villages that exist, they would be fine. Just be a tourist destination for people wanting to experience the rough and tumble. My father doesn't understand that one bit. I see. And it was from there that you encountered this Minith character. Unlike my father, he's actually willing to listen to my ideas because it benefits him personally. In fact, he helped me discover a huge opportunity for our village's apiary. I plan on working with him to launch a major enterprise in the near future. You what? Can you even hear yourself right now? Mind your own beeswax, that's all I have to say to you. You got what you came for, right? I need to get back to the village if you don't mind. That was rather curt. Yeah, he totally blew us off. Yeah, it just feels like a scammer. Hey, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Maybe we should try speaking with this Minith guy for ourselves. Good call. Maybe it'll give us a better idea of what the Jamoke's all about. What? Is this a word? Okay, Jamoke has several definitions. I'll only read the first two. Coffee and stupid person, fool. What is this? It's old-fashioned slang? So the etymology is by shortening Jamocha coffee, blend of Java and mocha. First known use 1895. Weird. What a weird choice of word. What do you say we show ourselves in? They probably legally can't do that, but laws don't actually matter in this story, so... I mean, if they're knocking, that's... Oh, no. Here we goes nothing. They knocked. Hey, they're allowed to knock. Who is it? I didn't order any room service. Excuse me. We're looking for a Mr. Minith? I apologize for bothering you. We're with the Crossbow Police Special Support Section. We have a couple of questions to ask you. Oh dear, you're police officers? Why didn't you say so sooner? Come in. The door's unlocked. See, this feels almost too easy somehow. Maybe he's more of a wheeler-dealer than we think. Alright, we're coming in. I kinda hope it's just Derek being nice. Oh, he looks so evil. It would be way funnier if he isn't evil, but he looks so evil. Like, that is evil guy design number 2. Pleased to make your acquaintance. I'm Minith. What brings you here today? Like I said, we have a few simple questions we'd like you to answer. Will that be alright? But of course. I would be delighted to help an officer of the law. Was there some kind of trouble in the area, perhaps? Not exactly, no. It pertains to you specifically. We want to know more about you and what brought you to Armorica village. Could you start by telling us about yourself? Well, this is a surprise. But seeing as you're police officers, I suppose I have no reason not to cooperate. Ahem. To reiterate, my name is Minith, and I am a corporate executive. My responsibilities range from product development to sales and operations. I've been visiting Armorica village to secure an important business deal on behalf of the Quincy Company. Did you say the Quincy Company? Not ringing any bells personally. You heard of them, Mademoiselle? In a sense. The Quincy Company is a famous international confectioner. They're one of the most prominent names in their field. You can even get their products here in Crossbell. Yeah, that does sound familiar. I think I used to buy their chocolates as a kid. I always paid more attention to what was in the wrappers than what was on them. Haha, that's quite alright, young man. I too was what one might call brand blind in my youth. You see, despite working for the company, I've never been one for sweets. It was my long-standing reputation as an irrefusable salesman. In fact, that led me to my current position. My apologies. I didn't mean to get us off track with my personal milestones. It's fine. We're the ones who asked. So about that business deal with Armorica village you mentioned. Would it happen to have anything to do with Derek, the son of the village chief? He told us that it has something to do with the future of the village. It's weird that Derek would have potential to actually negotiate, considering he's not the head guy and he's not anything? He's just the son? Oh, did he now? In that case, I suppose there's no sense in keeping those details under wraps. Yes, Derek and I have indeed built a strong working relationship over these past several days. We were aware of that much. Could you elaborate? But of course. The Quincy Company is constantly seeking out new opportunities to grow our confectionery business. Is this going to be like a Nestle thing? As such, the head office tasked me with a project to that effect. Our goal is to gain a foothold from which we can expand into Crossbell. In other words, you want to establish a subsidiary of the Quincy Company here in our state? Precisely. I began my inquiry by paying a visit to the department store in the city. There, I found it. The luxurious, high-grade honey produced in Armorica village. That honey is made with the lotus flowers from the village fields. I thought lotuses grew on... I don't actually know, but... I thought lotus flowers... Yeah, they grow on... They don't always grow on water, necessarily. But I was under the impression that they did. Yeah, they grow in the floodplains of slow-moving rivers and delta areas. Like, the fields did not look like they were waterlogged. I do recall Mr. Hayworth praising it for its quality. And he should. The honey is a product of nature's bounty, passed down through ages for generations. Seeing those fields was like the goddess herself showing me the way to a brand new confectionery venture. I call it the Armorican Honey Company. The Armorican Honey Company? Not exactly pushing the envelope. But I won't deny it's pretty catchy, even though it's not catchy at all. We plan on selling candies made primarily from Armorica Village's delectable honey. But in order to do so, we will need the full cooperation of the villagers themselves. And so, I approached the incoming chief, Derek, with the most magnificent proposal. I asked if he would like to oversee the construction of the factory, as well as the new business enterprise. You offered to make Derek the manager of a Quincy Company subsidiary. Naturally, my company would make full use of its sales and marketing expertise. The fields, too, would be overseen by our staff. We don't want to cause trouble for the villagers after all. On the contrary, we wish only to ease their life's burdens by taking away their jobs. Where do you intend on building a factory, though? After discussing a great many possibilities, I've settled on utilizing the village's private property on our old Armorica Road. Bad place to build. There's a lot of skunk anteaters there. Since it has only ever been used for storage, Derek was readily willing to agree to the arrangement. But how does Derek have any power? Like, technically, can't the village chief just say, no, you're not inheriting, you're out? Because it seems like it's the only basis for Derek being the next village chief is his father saying so. And like, if the villagers were like, hey, we don't like him, get rid of him, he would be gone. Like, they can't be making agreements with someone who isn't in power yet. No doubt almost anybody would under those terms. Especially with how keen Derek is on revolutionizing the village. Everyone comes out a winner. Isn't that just swell? Haha, so glad you understand. In my eyes, Derek's talents and strong sense of responsibility are more than enough to qualify him for the position. With that, I've divulged all that I can. Does that answer your questions? It does. Thanks for your cooperation. I think we have a much better grasp of what's going on in the village now. I mean, I wouldn't trust this guy for a second. And I would have no faith in Derek's judgment because he's fixated on one solution. Is there anything in particular that you would like to discuss further? Not at the moment, no. Sorry to take up your time. We'll be going now. No problem at all, officers. Come again anytime. Please, take care. Where do we even begin? I bumped them. This is quite a plan they've put together. Evidently, Minith is more shrewd a man than we took him for. The whole spiel took some untangling, but it sounds like it could pay off big time. It sounds like it could. Seems too good to be true, honestly. At any rate, I think we've got all the answers we were looking for. Yeah, let's head back to Armorica village. Chief Tolta is going to want to hear about this. Teleportation. I don't believe this. Minith is with the Quincy Company? And then there's this whole Armorican Honey Company business. That is quite an extensive plan they have, and it involves building a factory on village's private property, no less. Never did I take Derek as the type to pursue something like this. Has Derek returned to the village yet, by the way? That's right. I don't believe I see him around. He said he'd be returning to the village when we ran into him at the hotel. Well, I must confess that Derek doesn't come home very often these days. Instead, he's been renting a room for himself at the Ash Tree Inn. I understand Minith has been staying there as well. Perhaps that was Derek's reason for relocating. That way, his plan to industrialize our land could proceed without my knowing. What a shameless excuse for a father I am. Like, there's the clear Tolta could be wrong, but I really think trying to preserve the tradition is probably better than building a factory nearby. I wouldn't be so sure about that. What if moving into the Ash Tree was actually Minith's idea rather than Derek's? Maybe it was him who was trying to keep you from catching wind of what's going on. Well, what do you mean? I'll let our dashing leader here handle the details. Ignoring that first part, I'll do my best to explain. Is there something more to this than we realized, Lloyd? Keep in mind that I'm only speculating, but I have my suspicions about this Minith character. What do you mean? The plan he laid out for us would supposedly benefit everyone involved. Armorica village gains a new industry, while the Quincy Company gains a subsidiary and a market they want to expand in. At a glance, it all seems well and good. Almost too good to be true, don't you think? Well, now that you mention it. As another point of concern, consider the ridiculously low price at which Minith sold a new orbital truck to Elkin. In this context, we can think of it as an upfront investment. An orbital truck isn't something you gift to someone at random. Not at the prices they go for. I've never heard of one selling for only 50,000 Mira until now. What you two are getting at is that he knows he's going to make that Mira back, doesn't he? That is very strange indeed. A company as large as Quincy wouldn't normally invest this much capital into an unproven startup, especially one that's being worked on with not even the head of the village, but the successor. They wouldn't, would they? I don't like where this is headed. It leads me to believe that Minith has an ulterior motive, one that's guaranteed to make him a profit. This is all just conjecture, of course, but I would still suggest that you keep what we're saying in mind. I will. We'll have to be very careful about how we approach this matter. And kudos on the fine investigative work, SSS. I feel as though I finally understand what's going on here. Thank you for your help. Happy to, Chief Tolta. Are you saying you can handle it from here? We could continue investigating if you'd like. That's alright. You've done more than enough for now. As soon as I heard about their plans to build a factory on our property, I knew I could never support such a thing. I'll have to speak with Derek later and try to persuade him, not just as his father, but as a chief. I mean, Why would Derek have any right to the private property? Like, you don't even need to persuade him. Like, there's no logic for Derek owning that private property if it's the village's property. So he shouldn't be in a position to be negotiating for a factory to be built there. It doesn't make any sense. Perhaps that would be for the best. We'll be excusing ourselves then. Don't hesitate to follow up with us if there's anything else we can do. Of course. I'll be sure to call on you again if the need arises. Like, so in theory, if my assumptions are correct. Also, those lotus flowers don't have any water. So I don't know if there's lotuses that don't need water to grow or not. But yeah, like, if my understanding of the basics of, a village are correct, Derek is not in a position to be like, oh yeah, just build a factory on that part of our land. Like, it would have to have, like, all the villagers' agreement. It would need, like, at least the village chief's agreement, not the village chief's son's agreement. Like, the village chief's son wouldn't be able to make those decisions. Yeah, like, it's just Derek's convinced that he's right and nothing will sway him. Not that Chief Tolta is necessarily right, but trusting the corpo man that just showed up is dumb. There's no reason to trust him, especially if he gives you a car for that little. But, I mean, on the next day in Chapter 3, there might be changes, so there'll be a lot of progress on that. Now I've talked to all the folks. It's such a lame... I just don't think the base premise for that quest so far makes sense. It doesn't make sense that Derek is even slightly in a position to negotiate for the use of private Armorica land. If a cryptid were to harm an Erebonian or Calvardian tourist, the two major powers would never let it slide. In other words, it's directly tied to the tension at our borders. The CGF can't afford to leave the matter alone. We'll be depending on you to make some headway with the investigation. Crossbow sandwiched between two of the most powerful nations. I'm not reading this. We already know this. I know it's about... Oh, who's she? They say there have been large, mysterious creatures appearing in Crossbell lately. I certainly picked a stressful time to take a trip. He looks like someone we've seen before, but again, the character models are not unique, which means that it's probably not someone I've met before. Recently, people from the Republic have been discussing the pros and cons of an independent Crossbell. Unsurprisingly, most are against the idea. With the referendum coming up soon, I can't help but wonder how they'll respond if we do become independent. When you think about it, I guess it was inevitable that Crossbow would start talking about independence eventually. Unless it starts to affect my business, though, I'll remain a curious onlooker. They really frame the Republic as generally more reasonable than the Empire, I think. Considering the one tourist we talked to on the Empire side was like, "All these stupid Crossbellans, they shouldn't be thinking about independence. We own them, blah, 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 blah." Whereas this guy's like, if it doesn't affect me, whatever. Which isn't necessarily a good stance to take. I'll say that. But it's not like, oh, these guys are subservient to us. Ooh, ooh, ooh. They're just, yeah, no. I don't know how it will affect me. If it negatively impacts me, I'll be against it. But he's just going to let it slide. We finally fixed the radar facility that was destroyed during the trade conference the other day. Those despicable terrorists. Just how did they manage to pull that off right under our noses? The more I think about it, the more confusing it gets. That, plus the armored car that showed up in the geofront, feels like more than they could have prepared alone. Our suspicions that the society was aiding them may be right on the mirror. It does seem to be the case, though we never did get irrefutable evidence. What a weird, random board. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a food place. Let's talk to this guy first. The CGF has a lot of irons in the fire thanks to the mounting pressure from the Empire and the Republic. So many that some of their duties had to be bumped off on you guys and the Bracer Guild. I suppose we're going to need every side to be flexible enough to help each other out right now. Which I want to check. I only have Counterfeit Caper and the Tastes of Crossbow. So I think I'm going to aim to finish the Tastes of Crossbow today, alongside visiting here and St. Ursula. Cryptids, huh? From what I've heard, they make for some pretty tough opponents. The CGF needs to focus on guarding the border right now, so good luck dealing with them. Something about the guards around here is kind of unsettling. I don't care if they're on high alert or whatever. Would it kill them to be a little more welcoming? I mean, they're guards. Guards don't really need to be welcoming. Not saying they shouldn't be, but... Ooh, car. Probably have it already. March on, wild soldier is at ease on the barrel. Hello, Sergeant Major Seeker. Visiting with the SSS today? I kind of hope this is her favorite food. As like a, oh, it's been so long. Yes, it's good to see you, Mr. Temas. Sorry for the bother. We're actually here for a support request. Gourmet recommendations? Ah yes, I do remember hearing about that from the news service. Our specialty here at Tangram Gate is the Tide of Plenty hot pot. You get to eat it as a group. So you serve a mean seafood hot pot here, huh, eh? We'd love to try it. Sure thing. Sit tight while I go whip up a pot. Lloyd and the team ate the hot pot. This is quite flavorsome. Yeah, you can really taste how fresh the fish is. Haha, that's the idea. Hot pots are easy and delicious, so we make them a lot here at Tangram Gate. Eating around a table together always puts the guardsmen in a fun, lively mood too. Now that I think about it, I've never had a meal like this with the Testaments before. Maybe I'll bring them here next time I get the chance. Shoot, is it gonna be Wazzy that prefers it? That's boring. For real? You want to take your downtown gang to a border gate to eat hot pot? I think I know who liked this dish the best. Perhaps we should let Wazzy handle the review for it then. I'm halfway there. I was hoping to weasel my way out of doing one, but I guess I don't mind too much. So, 3 people left that don't have a favorite dish. One of them's going to be St. Ursula. One of them's going to be Long Lao. Is that supposed to be Ilya? It's like such abstract art. I assume it's supposed to be Ilya. If not, I have no idea. It could just be generic character, but considering the other one on the other side had Rixia, I'm assuming it's supposed to be Ilya. But with each passing day leading up to the referendum, things just get tenser here. Calvardians generally aren't in favor of Crossbow going independent, as it turns out. I must pray those sentiments don't lead to policy and military action. Those cryptid things remind me of the spirits that appeared in the Moon Temple a while back. It'd be one thing if they just looked scary, but the fact that we hardly know anything about them makes it so much worse. If I ever bump into a cryptid, Eidos, give me the strength not to pass out again. Goofy. I enjoy these goofy guardsmen. Is there nobody here? Just give me that guy, yeah. Who almost seems like a villain, but I don't think he's a villain, but he might be. That concludes my report. I see. Mock battles around Tangram Hill, eh? Even if they are on the small side, their attempts to place pressure on us are becoming more brazen. Yes, it's just as we predicted. We won't be able to rest easy until after the referendum. All we can do is stand by and maintain relations with all sides while we wait. Excellent work, guardsmen. Continue monitoring their movements. Yes, sir. Let's hope that's the end of that. If I talk to him, I hope it just repeats. Nothing new. I assume it's different, yeah. As you can no doubt tell, we have neither the time nor the resources to devote to dealing with the cryptids. Forgive us for demanding so much, but we're counting on your help with the investigation. I assume that's the end of that. Easy. I mean, this was a lot quicker. Yeah, okay. That gate, that's the gate explored. I might have missed stuff, but for now I'm assuming I didn't. I'm gonna go to the boathouse when I fight the cryptid. Now it's time for St. Ursula, which has a food place. But yeah, there's a food place at St. Ursula, and there's 2 food places in Crossbow that I missed. So I assume those are the last, you know, favorite food locations. Ooh, she has something about Dr. Sealand. She's in the courtyard. Ooh, she's sad that she failed her surgery. That would actually be kind of nice. Like if she legitimately is like, oh, taking it rough. I've noticed that Lytton is always off helping out with surgeries or making rounds around the hospital. He's on a completely different level than a freshman like me. Lytton has been working at 100 selga an hour ever since what happened to his last supervisor. It's driving him half to death. You need to remember to be patient. The only way to improve is to study, study, and study some more. Lytton has been working at 100... Okay, nothing new. Hey there, and welcome to Le Lectier. Can I help you to a meal? Sort of. We're from the CBD Special Sports section. We're here about a gourmet food request. Oh, right, the gourmet guide. Someone from the CNS did get in touch with me about that. There's just one problem. What do you mean? We're a hospital? The dish I'm offering needs a lot of time to cook properly. And, unfortunately, I just plumb ran out. So sorry, but I'm afraid you're gonna have to wait until I've whipped up another round. That's a bad break for us. But if there's no dish, there's no dish. Pardon me. How much time will it take before a new batch is ready? Let's see. I just started on a new one last night, so it should be done in about 48 hours from now. Oof. That's a slow cook. Come see me the day after next, and I'll hook you up. It simmers? Don't say simmers. It could be smoking. You don't know how it's cooking. It simmers for 3 whole days? There must be some rich flavors you're drawing out. I look forward to tasting the final product. Oh, you're gonna love it. Just don't forget to drop by again once it's done. So in 2 days, I'm gonna have to check back here. And I won't be able to finish this quest until then, I assume. What is this thing on the... It looks like... I mean, it's a long neck, so it looks like it's like a marmot or something. Marmot, ferret, that type of thing. A mink with a bird on top. Arios McLean was on pins and needles the entire time Shizuku was in the OR. Worried, absolutely sick, no doubt. Everyone in Crossbell knows and worships him as a hero, the divine blade of wind. But in the end, he's still only human. Seeing him in that state, it dawned on me that he was just like any other loving father, worried for his daughter. Lots of empty space. Okay, but the bottle being like an empty one, or clear, which would imply probably a more like high concentration alcohol, says a lot about the doctors and nurses that live here. Butterflies. So it's rough to work here, basically. These posters with deers on them are pretty odd. It's a tree. Wait. No, that's probably not a pin holding it in, because you wouldn't use a pin on like brick and mortar type, cinder block and mortar. It's definitely brick and not cinder blocks. Hey, do I have this? A primer on Crossbell and cuisine sits primly on the shelf. Already got it. Good. So that's all 3 floors here. Mayfa was tearing up bad the day Michael was discharged from the hospital. So I lent her my big hanky. I thought it worked at first because she stopped crying. But then I realized she was giving me a really nasty stare. I mean, what kind of thanks is that? And she didn't even give me it back afterward. Was Michael the one who gave her the hanky or something? I can't remember. I think that, like, Michael's the kid, I believe. It might not be, but I honestly can't remember. Because that definitely connects to previous minor plot lines that have been in this area. I'm pretty much certain. Let me guess, the mayor's proposal has been talk of the town, right? Independence. Now there's a dream every crossbellin has had for who knows how long. Personally, I'm in favor of it. Everyone believed the surgery would be a success with Dr. Thieland at the helm, but maybe current medical technology just isn't enough to restore Shizuku's vision. Sad. Dr. Thieland. Oh, hello. My apologies, but I need some time alone to think. The results of Shizuku's operation must be hitting her especially hard. Yeah, she was the surgeon in charge of the procedure after all. Can I fish from here? I can. I'm gonna fish a tiny bit. Basically bare minimum checking to see what has chances. Piranha. That's pretty cool. Piranha are interesting fish. Not in a way that I have any knowledge about, but just sort of that they are viewed as incredibly dangerous, but they aren't really that ooh, turtle! Cute. You should really throw the turtle back, but like, what is it? Piranhas not being that dangerous is kind of fun, but they're also able to strip, like, stuff down to the bone really quickly because there's just so many of them munching away. Because they swarm. It's kind of cool. There's just a bunch of turtles here. I'm gonna fish twice more. Once with this and once with the other red roe. Or is it red roe? It's roe, but yeah. Oh, it's just called roe. I'm just gonna fish a tiny bit. See if there's anything else interesting here. Because turtles are great. But the dumplings are gonna be the same. Earthworm, I think, will be different, or could be different. I'm wondering if here and the other, like if the primary, ooh, eels. If the primary reason for this fishing hole and the one at the Crossbow Academy, Police Academy, is to have, like, it's the only place you can get turtles, it's the only place you can get salamanders. Though that's actually a lot of eels. That's pretty easy to get eels. At my last checkup, I was told to cut back on my sweets intake. They said my body would pay for it if I didn't, so here I am, trying to change up my lifestyle. But they're so good! Even now I'll gravitate to the sugary stuff before I realize that I need to be more careful. Cute. I heard there's a long wait for first-time visits. This is probably going to take a while. Nothing like being in a hospital waiting room for all day. God, I hate hospitals. Like the smell. Ooh. I saw a couple of doctors having an argument in front of the exam room. Come to think of it, a lot of the staff here seem to be on edge. Did something happen? I commute to this hospital quite a bit. The doctors here are surgical experts. That fact alone is enough to give me peace of mind. Oof. Shizuku has gone through several surgeries in our attempts to restore her vision. But none have been successful, even though we have the finest doctors on the continent. I can only imagine the anguish she and Mr. McLean are going through. This is bad. I can feel a pall of gloom setting in over the staff. We had high hopes that Shizuku's surgery would succeed. Moping about it won't solve anything, but it's hard not to be discouraged. Shizuku's most recent surgery relied on a groundbreaking new procedure developed by Dr. Sayland. Interest for this new method among the medical community is high. I'd say we've regained some of the respect we lost since last spring's incident despite it failing. That being said, now is no time for celebration. The operation was hardly a success after all. These are the two that were fighting. Dr. Sayland's surgical technique is flawless on paper. Nothing's short of a revolution in the field of healthcare. So what went wrong? Could the operation have failed due to your incompetence? You pompous son of a... If anyone's at fault, it's you. You were the least experienced person there. What did you just say? You want a piece of me? I'll let you off easy. This time. Likewise. It's pretty funny. It's her and her grandpa. Oh, it's so cute. Well, this is some good news. Your condition has improved greatly since the time you were first admitted here, Mr. Quine. Are you sure? Yes, though we still need to keep tabs on your progress from here on out. Still, at least you won't have to be hospitalized again. Isn't that great, Grandpa? You're healthy now, and you don't have to stay in the hospital again, either. Yeah, it's wonderful. Wholesome. I'm so happy for you, Grandpa. I knew your medicine was working. All I had to do was make you take it. You never know what they could tell you, so I've been reluctant to get checked up. Who'd have thought it'd end up like this? It's all thanks to Amisa. So happy. Positive. Unlike, the surgery failed. Oops. Shizuku's operation had the most advanced medical devices and cutting-edge surgical techniques on the continent. Yet it still failed. It's so damn frustrating. I don't want it to end like this. Shizuku put all her faith in us. We can't just give up now. I know the surgery wasn't a success, but I think the doctors did everything they could. Don't get me wrong. It's a shame that Shizuku's vision hasn't been restored. And I'm not saying it's a lost cause. But if you ask me, the doctors shouldn't blame themselves over it. There's no sense in letting it bring them down. I think that is a good opinion. Unless one of them legitimately messed up badly. In which case, they should maybe feel a little down. But not stress over it too much, because the mistake is in the past. I don't think the results of Shizuku's surgery were all bad. There's some glimmers of hope to be found there. The fact that her eyesight recovered even a little bit is a step in the right direction. We're getting closer, I just know it. Now isn't the time for St. Ursula to falter. New characters? I'm only in for a simple operation. It shouldn't be long before I'm in fine fettle again. Again, another word that I've never heard. Even in weird writing, proper or sound condition, mental or emotional state, loose sand or ore used to line the hearth of a reverberatory furnace in preparation for pouring molten metal. Yes, I think that's the definition I'm looking for. What's the origin? Etymology, British dialect. To set in order, get ready. From Middle English fetlin, to shape, prepare. Perhaps akin to Old English fetien, to fetch. Interesting. The first known use as a noun was in 1740. And the first known verb usage was 1881. It's an old word. Still, being away from home has me worried about how the rest of my family is doing. I hope my husband is taking good care of the kids. Or at least making sure they get their 3 squares a day. It's a weird way to refer to like 3 square meals. You have nothing but free time on your hands when you're stuck in a hospital gown. Perhaps I'll marathon all of those books I brought along with me. I was standing about all down in the dumps over Shizuku's surgery when out of nowhere, Martha gave me a whap on the butt. It scared me half to death. And did she have to do it so hard? I could still feel the sting of her hand. I have to admit though, it's like she slapped all the doom and gloom right out of me. I'm feeling a lot more ready to seize the day now. I'm looking for another nurse. It's neither of these two. Spirits are low among the staff and faculty right now. It's understandable after how invested the entire hospital was in Shizuku's recent surgery. However, that's no excuse for these sullen expressions we're wearing. There are other patients who need us. Times like these are precisely when we need to give them hope. That's what I always say. What happened to patient confidentiality? Morale at the hospital has been at an all-time low since Shizuku's operation. Still, that's just all the more reason we nurses have to keep a smile on our faces. Right? Having Kia in our lives has taught us just how powerful a good smile can be. I'm sure you can provide the same pick-me-up for the patients, Cecile. Yes, if anyone can melt their worries away, it's you. Hehe, that's kind of you to say. The hospital may be down on morale, but Shizuku's still holding out hope. We owe it to her to do the same. There's a nurse that got angry about Michael leaving. Well, got angry about being handed a hanky. I'm too young to be stuck in a hospital like this. Not to mention too pretty. And it's for throwing out my back. Gah, I feel like an old biddy. He's intentionally having the old lady over here. Dr. Baldine's exams are so thorough and considerate. It's a great comfort being in the hands of St. Ursula's capable staff. Shizuku's condition is a complex case that straddles the line between 3 disciplines: surgery, internal medicine, and neurology. Some may think recovering her vision to be impossible, but so long as it isn't totally impaired, I believe she still has a chance. Though in that case, chasing after such a faint hope may ultimately be more painful than giving up altogether. Nevertheless, if the McLeans have the courage to continue fighting, then so do I. Her? Yeah, she was one that was complaining. Watching Michael frantically wave his hand goodbye as he left the hospital had me in tears. She's the one that got angry. Cerrone silently offered me a handkerchief when she noticed it was surprisingly considerate. Or so I thought. Oh, that's good. Or so I thought. Upon closer inspection, I realized she had actually handed me my favorite scarf that I thought I'd lost. That's pretty funny. Had I not been such an emotional wreck, I would have laid into Cerrone right then and there. That's very good. Well, ignoring Cerrone's stupidity, that was such a wonderful day. I really am so glad for Michael. By now, he should be back to living happily with his parents in Layman State. Wholesome, but also good comedy. Lovely. That was a good one. I enjoyed that little thread. Bunch of random junk. Oh, that was a fun thread. That was a great time. Oh, I'm so happy. Get us out onto the roof. Dum dum dum. I'm told that the SSS has taken on the cryptid investigation. My apologies. Such matters are typically under Bracer jurisdiction, but with me being away from the guild right now, knock it off. You don't need to worry about that. It's still a joint investigation. Not like my kids are biting off more than they can chew. Trust them to take care of things for today at least. So you say? Come on, you know as well as anyone how much they've grown this year. Besides, you should be enjoying this time together while you have it. You don't get to do this nearly enough. If you ask me, Dad's place at times like these is right beside his daughter. I'm in your debt, Sergey. Thank you, Chief. That's very kind of you. Pardon us. He really shouldn't be smoking in a hospital room. I know it's just the model eternally having a cigar, but the SSS. What are you guys doing here? I told him I'd be coming alone since all of you are supposed to be busy today. Sorry about that, Chief. We wanted to check in on Shizuku ourselves. What? That's creepy beyond belief. Oh, the open eyes freak me out. Oh, that's creepy. Thank you for visiting, SSS. Oh, Shizuku. I've never seen you with your eyes open like that. Does that mean we already know her sight isn't back. Does that mean your sight is back? No. That's so creepy. Oh, wow. No, not exactly. Dr. Salen did everything that she could as the operating surgeon. On paper, the procedure was a success, but her vision has not fully recovered. All that has returned thus far is her ability to perceive light around her. That's so. I'm sorry to hear that. Don't worry about me, everyone. I'm okay. But since you're all here, would it be all right for us to all take a walk to the roof together, Father? That'd be nice. I was just starting to think it's a little crowded in here. We could all use some fresh air. But Shizuku just had surgery. Shouldn't she be taking it easy? The doctor said her condition is stable, as long as she isn't exposed to strong light for an extended period of time. What gives off strong light? Maybe the sun? Seeing as today is a little overcast, hey, saved by the overcast, though the UV is still gonna get through, if that's an issue. It's probably just the brightness that they're worried about, not the UV rays, but seeing as today is a little overcast, there shouldn't be any issues with taking her outside. I'll inform the staff. Would you all help Shizuku out of bed to make sure she's ready to go? I've had my eyes, dilated where your pupils get really big via some medicine they drop in. Going outside after that, it was so bright, I was still able to see totally fine for some reason. Supposedly it can influence your vision. But it was bright, and it's not pleasant. So, the Divine Blade of Wind has a soft spot for his darling little girl. Add him to the list, I suppose. He's always like that. Father is a kind man once you get to know him. Yeah. And now we can go for a little jog, skip, and walk with the guy. We're up for it. Hehe. I'm excited already. Those eyes are so... They're staring into my soul. Bunny slippers. Watch your step, Shizuku. I will, Father. The breeze is so nice, and the sunlight is so warm. I almost forgot how bright it could be. It could get. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, Shizuku. Now that I think about it, Arios did mention something about you being able to perceive light again. I'm not able to make out any details, but yes, that's right. See, this one she's not staring into your soul anymore. I can sense how bright it is now. Almost like there's a white haze all around me. A white haze? I think I can imagine it. Your eyes know there's light there, but it's not the same as having vision. Does Arios have heterochromia? Like a purple eye and a gray eye? Or is his model just kind of broken? Oh, you don't have to be sad for my sake, everyone. I'm very happy with how well the surgery went. You are? I mean, it's progress. Well, at first I was upset that I didn't get all of my eyesight back, of course. At that point, I started giving up hope that I was ever going to get better. Shizuku. But after thinking about it, I realized this is the first treatment I've ever had that's made this much progress. That means my eyes can still get better, even if it takes a long time. It gave me a reason to believe again. Plus, I don't want to let down Father, Kia, and everyone at the hospital who's been supporting me. So I'm not going to give up. I want to continue my treatment. Shizuku, you're amazing. Not everyone has that kind of strength. Well, I don't know if I'd call it strong. I still need everyone's help. Without Father here to pay my hospital bills for me, I don't know what I'd do. I mean, you are a child. As long as you haven't given up, I'll support you for as long as it takes. Yeah, no, he doesn't have heterochromia. He just, for some reason, his model has a purple eye. But his normal eyes are like brown, yellow. So don't worry about that, Shizuku. Just focus on getting better for us. That's exactly what your mother would want, too. You're right, Father. Thank you. I know Mother is with the goddess, watching over us. So I'll keep doing my best to make a recovery. For you and her both. For you and her both. Kid's got some fire in her belly, eh, Arios? No question who her daddy is. Haha. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it? I'd say she gets it from her mother, if anything. It's almost time for us to return to your room, Shizuku. Doctor's orders. Oh, yes, of course. We'll walk you back inside. Afterward, Lloyd and the others enjoyed a few moments of light conversation in Shizuku's hospital room. Alright, I should be getting back to work, and so should these fools. You two enjoy your father-daughter time, Arios. Where's her penguin? Her penguin's gone. Much appreciated, Sergey. We'll see you tonight, Chief. Will do. I'll be expecting to hear all about your cryptid investigation. With the divine dad of Wind here taking some time off, this is your chance to close the gap. The divine what? Later, guys. It was a good joke. Thank you for coming, Chief. Hey, at least say, no problem. I can't believe he said that with the man himself still in the room. Who else do we know? Who else do we know who could get away with something like that? Actually, I think the graveyard keeper probably could get away with it. I bet, what's his name? Michelle, the leader of the Bracer Guild secretary guy, would be able to get away with it. That's all that crosses my mind right now. Dudley might be able to get away with it. Well, he is my former superior. I can afford him a little bit of leeway. Nevertheless, he was correct. I hope you have no objections to investigating the cryptids for today. I plan to be back to work first thing tomorrow. Until then, lend your aid to Scott, Wenzel, Aeolia, and Lynn. We will do what we can. Thank you for covering for Father, everyone. I hope your work goes well. Yeah, that image is spooky. Like, there's just something about her staring into my soul. And I'm glad you visited too. It was fun talking with you all. I think the issue is because so much of her, like, eye is just black. The pleasure was all ours, Shizuku. We'll come see you again soon. Take care. Cute. Fun chapter. Fun arc. I probably can't go to the research ward, in which case I'm done it here. Yeah, I'm done with this area. I'll have to come back. I mean, I'll come back every day, probably, while doing my rounds, and because it'll be quick. But I have to come back in 2 days to get the food. So today, I'm going to check the 2 other food places here. Hope that they are the ones that I'm... Like, if these 2 are 2 that I... Like, if this one gets recommended and Long Lao gets recommended, then all that's left is the hospital. If both of them don't get recommended, then I'm missing something. Hey, here to try the best noodles in the land? You're in the right place. Yeah, I guess so. We're with the special support section, and we're here about a request. Gourmet recommendations. Oh yeah, that whole deal. You're in luck, officers. I'm about to let you sample the very best my cart has to offer. And best of all, it's on the house. I call these my heavenly noodles. Eat up, ladies and gents. What a comforting presentation. The deep red broth tells me this is going to have a kick. And maybe a punch and a chop with while it's at it. Aw, come on. Give it a chance. Get past the heat, and your taste buds will be flying right up on cloud 9. Believable, actually. A lot of spicy food, good spicy food, tastes great. It'll probably feel more like Gehenna instead, if our tongues are on fire. Well, here goes nothing. Lloyd and the others ate the heavenly noodles. Blurp. Hey, you're right. It's spicy, but with a deep, complex tang. I won't deny that it's delicious. It's like the classic super spicy noodles that they actually taste good while being pretty spicy, as opposed to like there's some weird chip challenge that people have done where it just tastes apparently absolutely awful, like it's chemically and stuff, whereas spicy food that is made to taste good is generally pretty good. I won't deny that it's delicious. My only concern is how hard it is to eat without splashing the broth everywhere. Good point. I don't think that'd be an easy stain to get out. It's always the ladies that are telling me these things. I'm gonna think it's Randy that might recommend this one, because I don't think he has one yet. I say that if you get to enjoy the best darn noodles under Eidos' sky, then who cares about a few stains? Damn straight. Randy? There's a whole world of rich flavors just beyond this bowl's spicy horizons. Combine that with these perfect, supple noodles dancing in the broth, and you've got something only a real man could appreciate. This is it, Ozo, my man. This is the path of the noodle you've been telling us about. Yes, you finally get it now. Cherish it, young one. That's true enlightenment you're tasting. As a reward, I shall teach you the recipe that served as a foundation for these very same noodles. Master it, and open the eyes of all your friends. Peddler's Noodles. Hey, thanks, Ozel. Ozel. Randy was really into that dish. I guess that settles who's writing the piece about this place. Only one more place to check. Let's hope it's correct. This Long Lao isn't off. Roy looks like he's working super hard. I wish he had time to play with me too. This character is so cute. Because she was like, Roy needs a job. And then Roy has a job. Very good. Ah, yes, I talked to them. It's been so long since I talked to them. I assume I talked to the chef, not the front guy. Can I help you? If you want to place an order, you do it at the counter. Sorry, we're actually here regarding a support request. Gourmet. Ah, the gourmet guide. Yes, I know of it. This is our midday rush. But I won't turn you away. Find yourself an empty table. You'll be sampling the pride and joy of Long Lao. My peerless fried rice. Oh man, I can't wait. Sounds great. We'll go grab some open seats. I'm making him talk fast because he seems like he's, gotta get moving. Lloyd and the team ate the peerless fried rice. My guess is, so Tio, Wazi, Randy, and Lloyd all have their own thing. My guess, it's literally 50-50 and there's no basis. I'm gonna say this is Noel. Delicious. Phew. You really know yourself, Zhang Hui. It's probably not Zhang, it's probably like Shang, but I don't know the pronunciations. Don't think you'd be able to get a masterpiece like this anywhere but Long Lao. You had better believe it. Fried rice has always been one of my specialties, but I also recently improved upon it. That is why it is peerless. Nothing compares. Choo choo munch munch. Wow, you aren't kidding. Who would have ever shot a dish so simple could taste so complex? I used to make fried rice all the time at the barracks, but it's a totally different dish when made by a professional. Don't forget to swallow. Damn. Look at her shovel it down the hatch. So long as she enjoys the food, I couldn't care less how she eats it. Would you like seconds? I have plenty. I made plenty to spare. Sir, yes, sir. Yep. I got the 50-50 correct. Hey. I've never seen Noelle like this. She's like a kid in the middle of a growth spurt. I think we know who's going to handle Long Lau's right up. It's all yours, Noelle. Boom. So the only one left is St. Ursula. That's the only one there. In the food quest, that will be done in 2 days. So next will be... I'm not going to start this today, because it's going to take a while, I assume. But next will be the counterfeit caper. Ooh, capers are very tasty. I assume it's Raymond here I'm going to have to talk to. So, that will be for next time. Hopefully next... I'm definitely not finishing the gourmet one next time, because that's 2 days away. But my hope is next time I'll be able to finish counterfeit caper and both cryptid kills. I assume we have to kill them, and that's it. But they could be longer than I expect. But if it's just find them and kill them, then that's going to not take too long. And that's going to be my... That's going to be what I hope I can finish tomorrow. But that will be for tomorrow. Bye-bye.